If you're thinking of sports science, when you have a holistic approach to everything, so you want to be able to have tangible experiences with every element of it. So it's whether it's world-class tennis, world-class athletics, world-class training for those particular events, and they're on your doorstep, of course, then, the whole person that you become from knowledge base is so vitally important. And to get that experience here is pretty neat. I don't want to say I'm jealous, but it's pretty neat. For us as sprinters, I think lots of times people think that altitude training doesn't have an effect for sprinting training, because most of the time people are only thinking about endurance and distance stuff, because of course the ability of altitude training to increase the oxygen in your blood, basically, right? So this is what people are trying to do in that sense. So we used to go to altitude training for that effect, yes, plus for us, the speed element of it. So having thinner air allowed us just to move quicker. There's always those different kind of payoffs. So yes, altitude training, hugely a good idea. So when you're running and you have less air pressure, obviously allows you to just move quicker. I'm going to liken it for people so you can have a rough idea. It's like running downhill to running on flat. So you can imagine you don't get that much more speed, but it's there. So just people can have a rough idea why what we're talking about. It is the equivalent of running downhill. For me, I remember weight training was one of the most bizarre experiences I ever had, because normal weights that I'd lift at the drop of a hat, all of a sudden when I went up to altitude to lift, I was absolutely exhausted, shifting the same ton of weight that I would down on sea level. And that gave me the instant feedback. It's like, okay, now I can see. When you're running and you're just doing turnover, you're always out of breath anyway. So it's hard to judge. But when you do something that you physically can just do like this, all of a sudden, that lack of oxygen, you soon get the idea how your body is working hard. The chambers nowadays are just fantastic. Let's do that. I mean, we had to travel hours. Now it's on your doorstep. So yes, it's a huge advantage having, an altitude chamber on your doorstep. And also what's great about an altitude chamber is that you can absolutely dictate what you want. So if you want it to be 28 degrees Celsius and at 2,500 meters, because that's the height and that's the temperature you're going to be competing at, for example, it gives you that opportunity to experience that in a way that is really safe, because you're being monitored, you're being well looked after, and it just creates exactly what you want and what you need. If you're thinking of sports science, when you have a holistic approach to everything, so you want to be able to have tangible experiences with every element of it. So it's whether it's world-class tennis, world-class athletics, world-class training for those particular events, and they're on your doorstep, of course, then, the whole person that you become from knowledge base is so vitally important. And to get that experience here is pretty neat. I don't want to say I'm jealous, but it's pretty neat.
I love that, we'll take jealous.